I ask you about love. Probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. Oh my God, put an angel on earth just for you. Could rescue you from the depths of hell. And you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel.
Vancouver still can't afford to buy any home. For the second year in a row, the city has ranked number 2 for the world's least affordable housing market.
That affordability is at crisis levels in Toronto and Vancouver.
This real estate market is proving too hot for many
Police
others.
are recommending injection drug users shoot up at Insight after a pair of heroin-related deaths.
Vancouver's second, just behind Hong Kong, for the world's least affordable housing city. It also rains an average of 167 days a year, which is 46% of the time. And there's an ongoing struggle with homelessness and drug addiction. So, what makes Vancouver so great?
We can sum that up in just one word, and that is lifestyle. There are so many things that can be considered as lifestyle, so today we are going to break it down into 3 categories: culture, infrastructure, and outdoor recreational activities.
And we're going to start with culture, which is a broad topic, but we're only going to be talking about the main things that we notice that are different, starting with the average Vancouverite. If I were to describe them, I would say they're outdoorsy, athletic, and laid back. I mean, people here in BC are not in a rush. When you go anywhere, you can expect to wait in line, so please be patient because we're just chilling here, okay? There's a lot of protest here in Vancouver. It is part of the culture, I would say, here for people to gather together as a community and raise awareness about different topics. Fortunately, people in Vancouver are peaceful, and a lot of the times the protests are for a good cause, so it's never really, caused a lot of harm here for the most part, except for the Canucks game, of course.
Vancouver's culinary scene offers a wide variety of choices, from multi-course Chinese feasts and the best sushi outside of Japan to farm-to-table dining, which is restaurants that support local small business, farmers, fisheries, and foragers by serving locally grown and produced food. You can also find exotic street food and molecular gastronomy. Whether you're craving Chinese food, Korean food, Japanese food, Mexican food, and more, Vancouver has it all, thanks to the diverse culture within the community. Living in the West Coast, you have the Pacific waters, which gives you the most freshest and tastiest seafood. Everything from mussels to oysters and BC salmon to Dungeness crabs. Talking about food, there are also many festivals that are dedicated to food alone. To name a few, there's the Richmond Night Market, Vancouver Food Truck Festival, as well as the Dine Out Vancouver Festival.
Which brings us to the next point, which is the environmental friendliness in Vancouver. It does kind of tie in with the individual habits of the people here, but it's such a big part of the culture that we really wanted to highlight it at its own point. Vancouver itself wants to be the greenest city in the world, and right now they have set out 10 measurable goals to become the world's greenest city. It is called the Greenest City Action Plan. Now, these goals are divided into 3 categories, which is to have 0 carbon emission, have 0 waste, and to have a healthy ecological system. If you want to find out more about these specific goals, we're going to leave a link in the description below where you can go and take a look for yourself what Vancouver is specifically doing to become the world's greenest city. Just an example of what you may find there is some of the goals that are set out for 2030, which is to have 50% of the kilometers traveled in the entire city by 0 carbon emission vehicles. No wonder electric vehicle sales have been going up 70% year over year since 2011. And Vancouver has the infrastructure to support it with over 250 charging stations around the city and growing. The last thing that amazes about Vancouver was the fact that they have festivals almost every weekend during the summer. before COVID, of course. But what was really cool about this was that they hired people to teach you where to throw out your garbage and where to recycle it so it would be properly disposed of. And this is what makes Vancouver so environmentally friendly.
Moving on to outdoor recreational activities. Vancouver's outdoor activities are diverse and endless. Just give me 1 second. You can go skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, ice climbing, rock climbing, mountain ziplining, hiking, cycling, ATVing, dirt biking, mountain biking, sailing, boating, kayaking, canoeing, or any type of paddling sport, paragliding, kite surfing, windsurfing, scuba diving, swimming, whitewater rafting, camping, whale watching, bear watching, fishing.
Okay, I think they get it.
And more within the metropolitan area. And not only that, sometimes you can even do these activities all in one day based on proximity and accessibility.
We even have one of the world's top skiing and snowboarding resorts known as Whistler, and it's only an hour and a half drive from Vancouver, which is amazing. Hey guys, we're here in Whistler and it's Christmas. Just absolutely beautiful.
So beautiful.
Let's show them.
Instead of the bike rack, it's a snowboard.
Snowboard rack. We're gonna move on to infrastructure, which is another broad topic, so obviously we have to pick what we love most about it. So we're only gonna be picking the top 2 things that stood out the most to Princess and I, them being transportation and Vancouverism.
Vancouverism, we will talk about that later on.
So let's start with transportation, because we have air, water, and land. In terms of air, we have an international airport, we have 2 seaplane airports, and multiple heliport stations throughout the city, mostly used for hospital transfer, search and rescue, and for the rich people. Moving forward, aside from the traditional taxi, bus, and ride-hailing apps like Uber and Lyft, we have other forms of transportation here. We just love to share in Vancouver. That is why we have large extension of bike sharing stations throughout the city. The goal is to have a bike station within 300 meters of each other at most. We have 450 lane kilometers of bike lanes in the city, which is no surprise that biking is the fastest growing method of transportation in all of Vancouver.
Talk about environmental friendliness, right?
Yeah, well, that's not all actually. We actually, are you serious? Not only that, we actually have 2 major ride-sharing Vancouver also offers car sharing. The 2 most popular companies are Moto and Evo. Evo has a fleet of over 1,750 cars and it continues to grow. The best part is that all of these cars are 100% hybrid. They all come with roof racks, which is pretty much essential here in Vancouver. And they also offer one-way trips. So that means you can pick up the car in one location and drop it off in another. Those are huge advantages to the lifestyle in Vancouver.
We're not done yet, so we're going to talk about water transportation. And I'm not talking about the boats that you can rent in Granville Island without a license. I'm talking about...
Wait, what?
Yeah, you can actually rent a boat in Granville Island for under $100 and drive it without a license. But moving on, we do have 2 different types of water transportation here in Vancouver. We have the Sea Bus, which connects downtown Vancouver to North Vancouver. And this is so nice because when I do work out in North Vancouver and I do take the bus for transportation, when I see that there's traffic, well, guess what? There's an alternative route, which is the Sea Bus. We also have the Aqua Bus, which is a mini boat that takes you to popular locations along the False Creek Inlet, including Granville Island, Yaletown, and the Science Center. The last method of transportation that's worth mentioning is our transit system. There is the well-known SkyTrain, which is like a subway but above ground. It has 3 automated rapid transit lines that take you all around Metro Vancouver. It can also take you from the airport to downtown Vancouver in just under 30 minutes. The last thing I would like to mention is something called Vancouverism, which is the urban design of the city. The goal is to achieve density while adding green spaces to almost every neighborhood. City planners try to preserve sightlines of both mountain and ocean views by separating high-rise towers with low-rise buildings. Many of the buildings have mixed use, with both stores and offices being on the ground level and apartments situated above. This urban design allows Vancouverites to enjoy nature while living in the same vicinity that they work in, which can be seen in the downtown core of many other cities.
And by now, we truly hope you have an idea of what makes Vancouver such an amazing and unique city. But we don't want to end the video without addressing the big elephant in the room, which is, yeah, Vancouver's great and all, but how good is it if I can't afford it? Well, there are some truths to the fact that Vancouver is expensive, but it's not as bad as everybody thinks. And for the last 2 years, Princess and I have actually budgeted every single penny that we have spent. So I have a huge spreadsheet full of data that needs to be analyzed. And I may just be willing to bring it out to life, to break down the cost of living in Vancouver and to give everybody an objective view of how much it costs to live here. But you're gonna have to comment down below and let us know if you're interested in this budget or not. And if you are, what exactly you would like to know about it in terms of cost of living. Just the housing, the groceries, what is it that you want to know about? Let us know down below and then we'll consider bringing this video if enough interest is generated.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell button for a notification for our next video. And as always, see you next time.